Was nuking Hiroshima and Nagasaki a war crime? Well, according to the laws of war the US itself adopted 4 years later, it clearly would have been. I'm Tony Curran, the editorial lead of AJ Plus, and I've been writing about nuclear weapons for the past 30 years. In the second week of August of 1945, the US killed more than 200,000 people in the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. 4 years later, the US signs onto a new set of Geneva Conventions that deem it a war crime to target civilians or to inflict disproportionate damage on civilians in a military strike. Questioning the decision to use atomic weapons against Japan was not uncommon among top US commanders at the time. General Douglas MacArthur, who had led the US war in the Pacific, insisted there had been no military justification for nuking Hiroshima and Nagasaki. US authorities certainly worked very hard to ensure that most Americans would never see the images recorded by their own military of the devastation wrought by these barbarous weapons. They blocked the release for decades of film and photographic evidence, fearing that these images would actually trigger such revulsion in the US public that it would turn Americans away from future use of nuclear weapons by the United States. But if there was no military necessity, why did the US drop atom bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki? The bipartisan political establishment still insists it was a swift and merciful way to end the war. Many leaders in the global south, though, highlighted what they saw as an extension of colonial violence. Colonial violence had always justified itself to the Western perpetrators by dehumanizing the target populations. And sure enough, Japan's population was heavily dehumanized in US domestic propaganda during the war. President Truman, reflecting on his decision to bomb Hiroshima and Nagasaki, put it plainly: when you have to deal with a beast, you have to treat him as a beast. Sri Lankan writer Michael Ondaichi, in his celebrated novel The English Patient, captured what was a prevailing view in Asia at the time, writing that they would never have dropped such a bomb on a white nation. When Barack Obama visited Hiroshima in 2015, Washington's political class feared he might apologize for the US. Of course, he avoided any apology. At the ceremony, one of his aides carried the US nuclear football, which contains the launch codes with which any US president can instantly launch more than 900 nuclear warheads with a combined destructive power of 22,000 Hiroshimas. The 22,000 Hiroshimas in Obama's hand luggage highlighted the danger posed by America's ongoing institutional evasion of any serious conversation about the Hiroshima decision. And today there are thousands of nuclear warheads ready to use by any US president who deems it necessary. So how safe should that make anyone feel?